Okay, so today's story is about narcissism and about my father who seems to prefer narcissistic driven women. Okay, so my mother has wreaked her own devastation on the world with her big personality problem, also falls into the same sort of category as my stepmother when I was growing up. She was a horrible person to me. I never talked to her anymore, so I'm glad about that. Everything in her life, about her family life, about her, every single thing, she came first. She would spend her money on fancy things that she wanted for herself while she didn't feed the kids. Like, she would basically neglect them to the point of starvation, of eating onions with ketchup. They were so driven to compete against each other that they wanted to kill each other. And she looked at her own daughter and said that she wished that she had an abortion instead of giving birth. And she told me that women who don't pluck their eyebrows are disgusting, like they have hair under their arms, and that made me cry, and all kinds of other things that made me not feel part of that world, and led to devastation more than mine in other family members, and even her own kids, and my father too, I'm sure. But yeah, so that's the devastation my stepmother wreaked on us. And of course my mother is a very complicated relationship who is also narcissistic, and it is never about me. It's never about my sibling. It's always about her, and I don't know if it's anything I can change. And she probably just can't feel love. She's told me that it feels warm, but maybe she just doesn't feel it deep down. I know she feels some guilt over what happened to us as we were growing up, but then on the other hand, she will call us liars and emotionally blackmail us. I was more vulnerable to it, and I think she just doesn't want deep down for us to be happy. I don't know why. She seems to be happy in her marriage, at least that's the outer facade, and so I'm happy for her too. In that regard, I've learned to be happy for her. But I do dread her phone calls because I know what's going to happen, and she's so controlling and manipulative. It's like, I'm almost 40. What's happening here? And I'm starting to finally realize these things. In my stepmother's case, her mother died young of cancer, when she was young of cancer, and her I don't know much about her upbringing with her father, but in my case with my mother, her mother, my grandmother, also had a mother who abandoned her, and my grandmother was very headstrong and strong, and I think that maybe, I'm not sure about it, but it's possible she could have neglected my mother too, and she felt like my mother had some special challenges, and they just weren't helped out very much in her youth. So, but anyway, so I dread the phone calls and the emotional blackmail and the suggestions that I'm lying about my life, or the inappropriate sexual comments in front of her spouse. But I forgive her for these things because it is an illness, and she suffers from the same kind of sorrow I get when I'm really desperately sad. So like, I couldn't see that happening to her because I've gone through that myself, and there's just no cure. Like, Zoloft doesn't help it. Nothing helps that except just hard work. And yeah. So I'm just smiling because I'm trying to stay positive, and I'm a little high. So I guess the moral of the story is if you're in a man, be careful of the women that you bring into your kid's life, because your kids should be more important than your relationship. And mothers, your kids should be more important than your husbands, which I learned from my mother. And yeah, so basically, just be kind to each other. I mean, we're all one, as they say. So hopefully over time things will improve and there will be less narcissistic people, but I suppose there always will be some.